Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build will be the Spellblade again, but this time we'll be running Mana Strike, using it as a ranged melee skill. We'll still be using Lightning, we'll still have Firebrand, but we're going to play this a little bit more hybrid. You're going to have some more lightning in the build with actual lightning strikes, which will hit an entire area with Mana Strike. Mana Strike will of course give you full mana. We'll get more damage out of it based on how much mana we have. It'll have 100% crit as long as you have a lot of mana, and at the same time you'll be able to apply Spark Charge on all hits. So you're going to be getting multiple sources of damage per cast of Mana Strike. So you'll cast Mana Strike, you'll get the Mana Strike melee hit, you'll get a lightning hit, and then you'll get your Spark Charge. So it's basically 3 hits for 1, and they all do really good damage. And then in Firebrand, we'll be getting some more spell crit per stack chance. So for every Firebrand stack that you have, you'll get 6% more spell crit multi, and a lot of the Firebrand stacks, instead of giving you melee damage, will be giving you added lightning spell damage. So the lightning damage will hit hard, your melee spell will hit hard. Mana Strike itself will still be melee, but it will be hitting hard itself. And then the Spark Charges, since you have adaptive spell damage, which we'll put on a sword, and we'll put on a Ruin Dagger with adaptive spell damage, will also be hitting hard. So you're going to have multiple sources all hitting hard, and altogether you can get Mana Strike hitting the training dummy for 30 to 40k, the Spark Charges will be hitting above 10k, and the Lightning will be hitting for about 20k. So technically with 3 hits in 1, you're almost getting 100,000 damage every time that you use a Mana Strike. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, I'm running Enchant Weapon, Lightning Blast, Flame Ward, Firebrand, and Mana Strike. On the skill bar, instead of putting Lightning Blast, I will have Teleport. I'm only using Lightning Blast to make Spark Charges do more damage. We'll get into that when we go over it. For Enchant Weapon, we have 2 points in Concentration, 4 points in Efficiency, 1 point in Frozen Sparks, 4 points in Molten Steel, 2 points in Celerity, 2 points in Fulminate, and 5 points in Thundering. This is set up exactly as it is in the other Spellblade build. You're still getting as much added damage as you can. Mana Strike will still be a melee skill, so you're still trying to get as much damage with it as possible. For Lightning Blast, the only thing that you really need is 2 points in Front Loaded, 1 point in Cloud Answer, and the 5 points in Mortal Capacitor for that 200% increased Spark Charge effect, because even though it says only affected by the Lightning Blast ones, it's actually all Spark Charges, so even the ones that Mana Strike put on enemies will get the 200% effect. Now, I'm pretty sure that's a bug. Actually, I'm about 100% sure that's a bug that might be fixed in this next patch. However, for right now, it's doing really nice damage, so we're going to go ahead and go into it. The rest of the points, you can put anywhere. They really aren't going to do anything because you're not actually casting it, but I have 4 points in Volatile Lightning, 3 points in Positive Protection, 3 points in Crackling Speed, and 2 points in Shatter Shock. For Flame Ward, same setup on this as we have with the other Spellblade we ran today. We have 4 points in Stalwart Defense and 3 points in Desperate Defense. Because we're running a low life build, we're getting a huge amount of our missing health as ward. We have 3 points in Dilation, 5 points in Through Flames, 4 points in Infusion, and 1 point in Lightning Ward. What this does is it gives you 200% lightning damage because we have it all converted to lightning, and 10 added lightning damage. Now this is both for the spells and the melee attacks that you do. So you're going to get it when the Mana Strike does its melee attack, you're going to get it on the lightning hit, and you'll get it for Spark Charge. So all of your hits that you're doing are going to benefit from this greatly. For Firebrand, this is set up a little bit differently. First, we want to get 2 stacks every time we use it because we don't want to use it very often. We're going to be really focused on trying to stay, far away from the enemies. So we have 2 points in Searing Brand and 1 point in Conflagrate, so that we get 2 stacks per time that we use it and it hits an enemy. We have 2 points in Fulmination, 1 point in Brand of Arcanus. Now what this does is instead of giving you 5 added melee fire damage, you're getting 5 adaptive spell damage. Now because we did take the Galvanized node and we've converted it to lightning, you actually get 5 added lightning damage, which is okay because we're using lightning skills and the lightning damage helps. We have 2 points in Arcane Sharpshooter, so that for every stack we have 6% more spell critical multiplier, so our lightning strikes are going to hit really, really hard. Then I have 1 point in Ardent Branding to get more maximum stacks, 4 points in Undying Fire, 1 point in Everflames, so that 1, our duration of stacks will last as long as possible, and 2, they won't each have their own individual timer. Just getting 1 more stack is going to refresh all stacks. 2 points in Prio Shielding, 2 points in Wildfire for another 2 maximum stacks, 1 point in Galvanize, so that everything's converted to lightning, and 1 point in Mana Shell so that you get 3 word every time that you use Mana Strike per stacks. When you have 9 stacks, you're getting 27 extra mana every time that you use Mana Strike, which is a huge amount and is very beneficial for your survival. And then for Mana Strike itself, there's a couple of interesting interactions that we'll go over. The first ones that aren't interactions is 2 points in Swift Sap for the attack speed, 2 points in Rage Sap for the global damage, 1 point in Teleporting Strikes. Now this makes Mana Strike ranged, but it is still considered a melee attack, but you'll get 80% less mana gain, which is perfectly fine. You're still going to get enough mana with it to be able to do a full mana build. And then 1 point in Star Guide so that it will auto target the nearest thing next to your cursor. In case you were like just trying to run around or teleport and you move your cursor a bit, it'll still target the nearest mob next to it. And then we have +1 base crit chance with it. Then we have 3 points for Mana Spark. This gives you base lightning damage based upon your current mana. So 15% of our current mana will give us base lightning damage, which is huge for it. So what ends up happening is if you have 300 mana like we do, 15% of that is about 45 damage. So you get 45 more base lightning damage, which is a huge amount. And the more mana you have, the more damage it's going to do. And then 4 points in Spark Charge to give you a 100% chance to attach a Spark Charge on Mana Strike hits. Then we have 2 points in Arcanist Blade for some more mana gain, 1 point in Mana Storm. Now you'll cast Lightning whenever you have positive mana. This Lightning will cost 15 mana. However, you can reduce that cost, which is what we're going to do to make it not cost that much. We'll get all of the mana back with just hitting, and we'll always be positive. We'll always be at full mana. 2 points in Explosive Flurry gives you 8% more attack speed and 40% less lightning mana cost, so that 15 is reduced by 40%, and 1 point in Essence of Control is another 20%, which gets you down 60%, which reduces it down to just a 6 mana cost. Now, you can take 1 point out of the 3 mana gain and reduce the mana cost of that by 3. Either way, these two are pretty much equal. You can bounce back and forth. If you are struggling with mana for some reason, then you can definitely take a couple of points out of Spark Charges and put them in here to make sure that lightning doesn't cost anything. However, that's going to reduce the chance of Spark Charges and reduce your damage by a little bit. And then the very last point, we have 1 point in Celestial Precision. Based upon your current mana, you get more critical chance with the skill. So the way this works is you automatically lose 5% of your base crit chance, but then you gain base crit chance based on a percentage of your mana. So we get 10% of our current mana, which is 300, which means we actually trade. We lose 5% base crit, but we get 30% base crit. So, I mean, it's a win-win situation. You basically always want to take this. This actually becomes ineffective once you get down to 50 mana. So if you're at 50 mana or less, then you are officially losing out. You're breaking even, and then as you get below 50 mana, you would obviously be losing crit chance. But at full mana, this basically guarantees that you'll have a 100% crit chance with our passives and the gear that we have. For passives, I have 31 points in the Mage base class with 8 points in Scholar, 8 points in Arcanist, 5 points in Mage Flurry, and 10 points in Knowledge of Destruction. That 30% critical multiplier and critical strike chance is a huge amount to keep you on that 100% crit path. For Sorcerer, we have 18 points, 8 points in Mana Shell, and 10 points in Wisdom, really trying to stay above that 300 mana line so that we get double damage with the Lightning Idols, and 62 points for the Spellblade, which were mastered, and with 8 points in Infused Weapon, 8 points in Arcane Warden, 7 points in Elemental Strikes. What's nice about the Elemental Strikes is you have a 70% chance to shock with lightning melee attacks, which even though you're ranged, you're still doing a melee attack. 5 points in Arcane Shielding, 5 points in Stormblade. So you have a 100% chance with Mana Strike to do a Spark Charge, and then you have another 25% chance here with melee attacks. So you actually have a chance with every attack to do 2 Spark Charges on 1 hit. 5 points in Essence Duel, 5 points in Mana Reaver, 1 point in Gemini, 8 points in Prismatic Blade, 5 points in Awe Strike. This increases the shock effect with melee attacks so that you really are taking advantage of all those shock stacks that you're putting on the enemy. And then 5 points in Burden of Knowledge. We don't care about the reduced cast speed because we're not actually casting spells, and we get 20 adaptive spell damage, which is going to make that lightning hit even harder. For items and idols, we're using the same idols. We're using the melee elemental damage along with the lightning damage increased if you have, and doubled if you have over 300 mana. And then I still have one, I'm still wearing the increased mana because I am just barely at that 300 mana line. Then for items, we're still wearing 2 uniques, still have Ensanguius, still have Last Steps of the Living. This is still a low life build. And then for weapons, we switched over to the Ruin Dagger, which comes with melee lightning damage. We put melee critical strike chance on it, chance to shock on hit, and chance to apply frailty on hit. Still have a sword on our hand for the added damage. As a sword, you can put adaptive spell damage on it, so this gave us a little bit more adaptive spell damage. Then we have increased lightning damage, chance to shred armor on hit, and chance to shock on hit. For our helm, we have a gilded crown for the increased critical strike chance. Then we have int, vite, increased health, and lightning critical strike multiplier. For the silver amulet, we have critical strike chance, critical strike multiplier, mana, and health. For our rings, we have silver rings, vite, dex, health, dodge rating. On the other ring, we have vite, dex, dodge, and health. For our belt, bronze belt, same one we had on our other character. Dodge rating on potion use, increased dodge rating, increased health, and hybrid health. We have soul embraces with increased critical strike chance. We have int, melee attack speed, hybrid health, and flat health. And then for the radiant crest, we have critical strike multiplier, int with more critical strike multiplier, mana, and health. For our character sheet, as you can see, we're not running any resistances. We only have 13% armor. Again, most of your defense is going to come from the fact that you have a lot of health, and you're converting that into ward. You have a decent amount of int, so you have a decent amount of ward retention. You're going to generate a lot of ward on the hits that you do, and that's how you're going to survive and have your defense, is just on your ward generation. And then for skill rotation and how I play the build, I like to put Flame Ward and Enchant Weapon on auto cast. I get them to cast at just about the same time. And then you're basically just going to hit your enemies, teleport around, dodge your enemies, and then hit them with Mana Strike from as far away as possible. And then what you really want is occasionally, about every few seconds, you want to get some hits in with your Firebrand and your stacks. You can see you're getting 2 stacks per hit, and all you have to do is get another hit before the timer runs out. You have about 8 seconds, and when you get that, you'll cap out at 9. At 9, you're going to be doing the max amount of damage. You can actually hit from pretty far away now because each stack increases the range of your ability, so you can hit from almost a whole screen away. And then all you need to do is, use Spark Charge, and it's going to do your Mana Strike. It's going to do your Spark Charges and lightning hits, and you can see we're hitting even well over 50k damage on some of our higher crits, so 20 to 50k damage. Just make sure that you are consistently remembering to do a Firebrand so that you have those 9 stacks and that you're getting all that extra ward per second, ward per hit with Mana Strike. You can see that we can jump up to almost 5,000 ward when we start spamming our Mana Strike, and that's because of all of the ward generation that we're getting thanks to the Firebrand stacks. Flame Ward's going to put us well over 5,000 and almost at 6,000, which is really nice, especially when you get a few hits and you're on the brink of death. You can just run away, wait for Flame Ward to pop, and then get right back into it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some more gameplay.